Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Career Corner podcast. I'm your season 5 host, Malcolm Alexander, and thank you for tuning in today. On today's episode, we are super excited to be joined by Sabeena Mori and Elizabeth Bleicher from the Ithaca College Academic Support Center. Thank you both so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
To start us off, I would just like to sort of hear from both of you. One thing that we like to talk about a lot on this podcast is sort of the nonlinear career path and the various ways that life can sort of put people in different directions and you can end up working in a place that maybe you never really thought of. Um, I would like to hear from both of you sort of how you ended up where you are now in your current positions at the Academic Support Center. Um, and yeah, anything else you'd like to say about sort of how you got to where you are now?
I had a really twisty path, and I love that this is something that you focus on because it really isn't linear. I knew when I came to college that I wanted to help people, and I thought I had to do that, I had to be a nurse. And that would have been a really poor career choice for me. My family jokes that if I'd actually become a nurse, somebody would have died and it wouldn't have been a patient. I don't have the disposition of a nurse. And even though I have the interests and the values of a nurse. So I screwed up all my courage to leave nursing school after 2 years of college and to become an English major, which was terrifying for someone who identifies as a first gen. And I thought, college major has to equal career. It turns out my college major has equaled my career like in 5 different careers. So there's no wasted knowledge. There's no wasted experience. I came to Ithaca College as an English professor and as an education professor, teaching IC students how to become middle school and high school English teachers. And I developed a first-year seminar on finding purpose in college, and that became successful. And so people asked if I'd be interested in working with the exploratory program, which has since evolved into the Pathways program. And because of my work with the Pathways program, I got really interested. Okay, it's great to bring students to college, but what happens once they get here? And once I asked that question, it changed their trajectory of my whole career. I don't teach English anymore, though I love it. I only teach and study and research and publish in student success. And that is my whole job, my whole identity. It is who I am now. And that's not a thing you can major in. It's not a career that they offer to you, in high school. But it's the logical next step of all of the different twists and turns that my career path took. And it's brought me to a place where my values and my interests are really aligned with my work. And I feel really lucky to have that.
That's awesome.
I'm guessing Sabeena's route is a little more direct than mine, but
Yes, Sabeena, would you like to go ahead?
Yes. So I came into IC, I auditioned to be a performance major originally. And before I even stepped foot on campus, I was like, okay, I changed my major before I even came. And I changed it to a music with an outside field major. And I knew I wanted my outside field to be psych. And because I've always been interested in like human behavior and getting to know people and stuff like that. So I came in as a BMO is what we call it. And my first semester, everyone's first semester, you have to take a first year seminar. So my seminar was Food Identity and Culture with Professor Corey Young, which before I took the class, I was like, I wonder how this class is going to go. It's very interesting, but I really enjoyed the class. And Professor Corey actually nominated me to be a peer leader, which is how I ended up being a peer leader here at Ithaca College. And then once I became a peer leader, which is someone you go into the first year seminars and you kind of give presentations and stuff like that, I really enjoyed it. I loved getting to know the first years. And after that, I was wondering how I could still be more involved. And then we came up with the peer leader coordinator position, which is now I help the current peer leaders. We have weekly meetings and I get to know them and get to know how they're doing in their seminars and might give them any advice or anything that they need. And we also meet weekly with Elizabeth to talk about the program and how we can better help the students and stuff like that.
Awesome.
All of our work is really focused on helping in the peer leader program is really helping first years make that transition from high school to college. It's not our only program in the center, but it's the one that we are most closely affiliated with.
Yeah, I love that both of you mentioned how coming to college can really be sort of an eye-opening experience when it comes to thinking about what your career will be. And like you mentioned, Elizabeth, that there's a lot of careers out there that aren't things that maybe are getting put in front of you by your guidance counselor in high school.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's really, really important to emphasize that those connections and really sort of taking advantage of everything can really sort of change your entire path. On the topic of the Academic Support Center, what is the Academic Support Center for any students who might be listening who maybe just have never been by? Um, could you give a brief little explanation about what the center is and what are some of the resources that you guys offer?
Absolutely. So the Center for Academic Support, the Academic Support Center is a team of about 14, 16 people who do nothing all day long but help students get where they want to go or get what they need. So you can think of us as your starting point when you are not sure where to go. I always tell people it says academic support in our name, but sometimes students walk in and they need help with more than academic support. You know, we've had students walk in and say, hey, the weather's turning, I don't have a coat. Okay, we don't have one, but we know who does. Students who've come in and said, you know, like, I'm ready to kill my roommate. We're like, okay, we are not in charge of that, but we know who can help. But in terms of what we offer here, we offer help with your academic journey and with trying to create the academic journey that you want to have. And people think of the Academic Support Center as a place you go when you're struggling. And we definitely have resources for people who are having a hard time in a class or a hard time in a semester, or if they have a setback and they need help getting back on their feet. We help with all of that. We have professional coaches who help students get their best performance. And so when people say, well, the Academic Support Center is for people who are struggling, sometimes it's for people who just want to take their B game to their A game. Sometimes it's for people who are fully in their A game and they're bored and they're looking for more challenge. Like we help them get research opportunities. We connect them to people in our network. We help them. We connect them to folks in the Career Exploration and Development Center. And so what I tell people is there's a big blue arrow outside our door now and it says start here. When you're trying to figure out what you need, start here. We're like your first stop for help at Ithaca College. And we are the home of lots of things that people know and recognize. In addition to our coaches, we are also the home of academic services. So all of the things that used to be in the dean's offices in terms of academic planning, like how can I graduate in 4 years, or how can I study abroad, or can I study abroad and have an internship and graduate a semester early. So all of that academic planning, all of those folks are in here in this office. If you need an exception to policy, it says I have to take this course. Can I substitute that one? We are the place where you come for that. And we're also the home of tutoring and peer success coaching. And those are two programs that are rich and robust. And we employ about 140 students here at Ithaca College who were, like Sabeena, looking for their next challenge. So this is really a center for all students. And we want to make sure that everybody knows the door is open. And even if you're just curious, we have comfy chairs and a printer, and we always have free coffee. So if you're just looking for a quiet place in the bustle of the tunnel, we're a good place to just sit and be still for a minute. So those are some of the things that we can provide.
Awesome. So a super diverse, wide range of things, really just
Absolutely.
good place, a jumping off point for any student that really feels like maybe some sort of resource of some kind could be helpful. When it comes
Absolutely.
to tutoring and peer-to-peer help, could you tell me a little bit more about what are some of those tutoring sessions like? What are some of those peer-to-peer sessions like? Maybe Sabeena, you could speak to this, sort of what is focused on in those?
So, tutors can help you with specific course needs, stuff like that. For one-on-one tutoring, we really like to focus on the 100 level classes so we can start students off with a good foundation for that. But we also offer group tutoring sessions weekly with some specific subjects. I can list those. We have anatomy and physiology, biology, chemistry, logic, physics, psychology. So those are the plug groups that meet weekly, the little study groups. And for example, if we're going to talk about peer success coaches, they can talk about more broad life topics, like how to build a sane schedule, how to take care of your mental health, as well as doing well in class, like more broad topics like that.
Awesome. Cool. So definitely a lot of different things that you can go for. I mean, it's not really sort of pigeonholed in any way. Um,
Mhm.
my next question would be, I think oftentimes it can be hard for students. Elizabeth, you've kind of already spoken to this, that these resources are not always for students who feel like they're drowning. Sometimes they're just for students who feel like they could use another leg up. However, sometimes I think it can be hard for some students to recognize when maybe, oh, I could use some help or I could maybe use some resources. Do either of you have any advice or maybe patterns or warning signs that you think that you've seen or noticed that students might start to go through that maybe would point them towards resources, maybe should point them towards the Academic Success Center?
Well, I'm looking at Sabeena because we work with so many students, and part of the reason Ithaca College is committed so extensively to peer educators is that peer educators have way more credibility than we do in terms of like, why would I bother going to the center? And so I guess I have answers, but I really want to hear from Sabeena first. Like, what do you tell a student who's like, oh, I don't want to go there. Like, why should I go there?
Honestly, I can speak to this as a peer leader coordinator and an RA. My thing is I see students like really closely all the time. So I know their baselines and when they kind of like deviate from that baseline. And what I usually like to say is I'll go with you.
Mm.
If it's really hard for you to get in the door, let me know your schedule and I will go with you, because sometimes they just need to feel not alone in it, because it can be very daunting to go and ask for help, which I know because the best helpers get help themselves. So it's really important that people help out and help themselves as well.
I love how you framed that. So the other one of the other things, we have so many things under our umbrella. One of the other things that's under our umbrella is the academic concerns system. So if a professor sends in an academic concern, students are like, oh no, I'm in trouble now. Like the academic support center is contacting me, I must be in trouble. It's not what it means. It means your professor cared enough to say, hey, this is somebody who looks like they could use a boost or just a check-in. So we have students who come in to the because of an academic concern because they have to. But then when they leave, they're like, this was so much better than I expected. This was so much different than I expected. And then they start to bring their friends in. So it's what, Sabeena, you're like, I'll go with you. Sometimes people don't even ask their friend. They're like, you're coming with me. And they just walk them in the door. Like, the other thing that we can help with is sometimes students don't know how to talk to faculty, and we can coach how to talk with a faculty member, how to approach a professor if an exam didn't go the way you wanted, what to say or do if you missed a class and then one absence turned into two, turned into four, and then you're embarrassed to go back. We can help you figure out how to do that. We also can help you learn how and why to go to office hours. Nobody knows what those are until you get to college. And, in high school, it's bad if you have to go talk to the professor, but in college, it's good. But nobody knows that if you don't teach them, right? So that's some of, we part of what we do is just teaching people how to college, like it's a verb. Anybody who wants to think about how to get the most out of IC, come in. Anybody who wants to tinker with their academic plan, anybody who wants guidance on how to maybe combine some programs or some majors and minors in interesting ways. We're really good at helping people. Like a really good four-year plan is kind of like Tetris. You can fit in all sorts of really cool stuff. And the people here are experts at that. Sometimes folks will say, well, I wanted to try that, but when I looked at it, I couldn't make it all fit. Well, we know how to do that, and we know how to do exceptions to policy, and we know that like you're supposed to take course X, but in fact, course Y counts for that. So you should be talking to us because we can help you fit all the pieces together in really cool and helpful ways. I think the other thing I would say is that we also have events that we sponsor.
So we have two big events. We have the Majors and Minors Fair, which is a great event to go to. You can see all the different majors and minors that we provide at this college. You can speak to some people that may be in those majors and minors, and you can see majors and minors you might not have ever even heard of, which is such an interesting and fun thing to do because, as we know, people change their major a lot. I've changed my major 3 times. So it's definitely a great resource. And then schedule coaching night. We have 2 schedule coaching nights. You come in, you bring either you can have a full schedule already made or you can have an empty schedule, whatever you need. You bring it in, and some peer leaders, peer leader coordinators, and other people come and they can help you build the schedule that you need and that you want. We can help you look at your degree works. We can help you see what courses you might not have known of. For example, if you really need to take a humanities class and you can't find one that you need or one that you like, we can probably help you find one that you might not have seen before. We can help you look at your degree works, find your CRN, stuff like that. Things that people might not have even known of. So it's great. They're both great. I really enjoyed doing scheduled coaching night last year. It was just nice to be able to help people.
And
Yeah.
folks really appreciate it's when people it's the same as coming in the center. When people walk in, they're all freaked out about registering for their spring classes. When they walk out, they're just like, oh, I'm calmer now. I kind of feel like I learned a lot. I think I can do this. The other thing that we sponsor that I wanted to share about is we do success study sessions 5 nights a week. So Sunday through Thursday, you can just drop into one of our locations. They're the same location, like Mondays are always in location, Tuesdays are in the same location. And what you do is you just swipe in and you set a goal and say what your intention is. And then you work for 2 hours quietly around other people who are also trying to achieve their goal. Some people call it body doubling. You can call it what you want. And then at the end, you swipe back out and you're like, okay, here's what I did. Here's how I got. Here's what I did on my goal. And they give you positive reinforcement. And it's like, okay, students who do it really like it. They say it gives them structure to their time. And it also is like, okay, I put in 2 hours. I can enjoy my evening now. I did my work and I can just actually enjoy it and relax because I know that I've done. So those are some of the things that we have to offer, and those are for everybody. We also offer workshops, and some of them count for Student Leadership Institute certifications on learning how to get your best performance out of yourself. So, first year students, the biggest problem that students say they have is time management. And what we see on our side of the desk is it's not just time management, it's also personal management, learning how to run your own life when you've had all these like assists and systems up to now. We do workshops on how to get your motivation back when it ebbs, we're doing a big event on the same day as the majors and minors fair. Actually, it's called Midterm U-Turn, and it's for students who looked at their midterm grades and were like, nope. I think I need to turn this around. And it's some really practical strategies for how to make the second half of your semester more what you want it to be than maybe the first half was. So lots of workshops, lots of skill building, lots of personal, academic, and professional development right here in the center. So that's when I say we're for everybody, it really is for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's, almost endless opportunity to explore, to strengthen yourself, to just give yourself peace of mind.
Yeah.
All really, really fantastic things. Just to close this out, I just kind of want to hear
Mhm.
this personal question from both of you. Sort of, what's the most rewarding part of what you do so
Mm.
far? What do you enjoy the most about it?
I think for me, I really enjoy advocating for people and speaking to people and being a support system for people. But the most rewarding part is seeing people become that for themselves, advocating for themselves, learning how to support themselves, and just feeling more comfortable and confident in asking for help and knowing what they need and knowing themselves and what works best for them.
Yeah, that's why we do what we do. Nailed it. The most rewarding part of this work really is helping people take charge of their own lives and their own education. And very few people in the United States right now ask high school seniors, like, why are you going to college? There's this assumption in big swathes of the country, like, oh, everyone's going, so I guess I'm going. And I just have this really core belief that you can't do well if you don't know why you're doing something. And so helping students discover their why, like, why am I here? What am I doing here? What do I want? Not what has everybody told me I want, not what has everybody told me I'm good at. What do I want? And helping folks get clearer on that is a real rush.
I can totally see how that would be a
Mhm.
huge, huge rush. I mean, both of you have been speaking this whole time about the sort of reframing aspect that coming
Yeah.
to college is a big change for a lot of people. And these resources, even the idea of having these resources at your fingertips, is a foreign concept to some people, where you're coming from high school where you're not used to your professor reaching out with concern. You're not used
Mm-mm.
to having resources that are genuinely there to help you and to help you get better. So I think that's all really, really fantastic. And yeah, I can absolutely see how what both of you said can be just exhilarating and so enjoyable. I think it really speaks to sort of the mission with any sort of role that provides resources to people is
Mm.
yes, it's helpful to help them at the time, but it's also so nice to give them sort of a toolkit that they can carry with them onward. And I think both of you sounded like you get to do that all the time. So
We do, we do. I'll just, if I may, I'll just add that the kind of work that Sabeena and I do is not brain surgery. That we have an open door, and if this speaks to you, a lot of people don't know that you can have a career in higher education, and that there are many, many, many people who work in higher education. It's again, it's one of those things that's never offered to you by a high school guidance counselor, and that the professionals who work in the center, the folks who run Res Life, the people who run admissions, these are all the people who run the Office of Student Engagement. These are all professionals in higher education who have come to this work because of the satisfaction that it gives us. So if you are interested in the kind of work that Sabeena and I do, we really want to invite you to come in and talk with us. There's a reason why the Academic Support Center is literally next door to the Center for Career Exploration and Development. It is because we share people back and forth. It's like we're going to help you academically finding a sense of purpose and helping you see the integration of your academic interests and your personal interests and your values. That's something that both of our offices do, and we would be really excited, either of us or anybody here in the office would be happy to talk with you if you think that there's a chance that a career in higher education could be exciting for you. We would love to talk with you about that.
awesome. Well, thank you both so much for taking some time to speak with me today. I think we got to talk about some really excellent stuff and got some really great information out there. And thank you to the listeners tuning in right now for listening to another episode of the Career Corner podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow Career Corner on Instagram and Spotify to stay up to date with future releases. If you're interested in posing some more cozy career cues, or in checking out the Career Closet, Headshot Booth, and all the other cool resources available, feel free to stop by drop-in hours at the Center for Career Exploration and Development in Mueller Faculty Center 101 from 11 to 2, Monday through Friday. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Career Corner podcast.